Hey people, this is episode 235, and this episode features myself, Bender Only, and Bombcast Jay, and we are talking about a lot of stuff, from movies to TV to Six Flags. You'll just have to listen. It's a pretty good show. Sorry about last week and the hokey schedule and all that stuff that happened, but we're back out. We're going to be back on a normal thing. We actually have Jim Ousley was supposed to be here of Butcher Queen fame and soon to be the Atonement Bell fame. He'll be on next Monday, so it'll be kind of a comic-centric episode. But other than that, this was a good episode. We had a good time talking about a lot of stuff, and which we usually do, so I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we enjoyed recording it. So I'm going to quit rambling, and when this bomb goes off, the episode's going to start, which should be about now. No one. I don't even cut my own grass anymore.
You hire somebody?
Shit, yeah, dude. The way soccer ended this year was so busy, and we had that that really wet early spring, and it got to be where it was like 3-4 weeks before I could get out and cut the grass, and it rained so much. I was like, "Fuck this!" So like, went online and got one of those lawn services, and where people accept your bid.
Oh, really?
So I got a big yard. It's like, yeah, I got a big yard. It cost me $40 a week. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, and I got a push mower, and it's not even self-propelled. So I got to
So you use your own lawnmower?
No, but that's why I don't get out there and do it.
I thought it was like $40, but like it's some teenage kid who shows up and like uses your lawnmower and gas.
See, I went lazy and married into a lawnscape.
There you go. I don't mind cutting the grass because it's mostly the only time that like I get to just be on my own.
I can tell you this: if his lawn mowing skills anything like his adjusting his mic skills, it is.
It takes a while.
Yeah, that's right. And if you pause in between front yard and backyard to have a beer.
Yeah, no. I do. I have one open usually when I'm running.
I am going to text the family to see if they will come get Louie because he's.
I gotta pee anyways.
Oh, then take Louie upstairs.
I was gonna go when
we'll
I got
just
here,
pause here.
You blew up that back.
Should we start without him? Yeah, I don't think we've ever done that.
Yeah.
So I guess we could say we are back, and that whistling and noise in the background you hear is John leaving the show to go take a leak. And the other voice that you might have heard would have been Just Jay. Or Bombcast Jay. Not Just Jay. That's Just Bender.
Yeah.
You're Bombcast Jay.
Come on, get it straight.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's throwing you off right now.
And we had a 1 week where the Badger was back, and then he's gone again.
Yeah.
And I guess we could say in the interim, you sort of became a two-hosted podcast person now.
Kind of.
Sort of.
If I ever get it finished.
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah.
You could have been lying. I'm just going to set this up, make Jeremy think shit's going on.
Yeah, I just like having it set out.
It's one of those, they always say, like, whether it's a conspiracy or governmental, shade or espionage. When there's a lie told, you have to, the first question you ask is who benefits.
Right.
You lying and sending that picture has no benefit whatsoever to. So I've got to think that you did actually do a podcast.
We did record one. It was Matt and myself, and we just talked for 40 minutes, and it's kind of stuck on the computer right now.
Now, was Matt your original co-host, or was he? Okay.
Yeah, he was one of the original three.
And with all apologies, if your other co-hosts listen to this, was Matt the one that I thought was funny? Was he the ones that kind of really took the reins almost every episode?
No, that was Toner.
Toner.
Matt's the one that did the game night with us a couple years ago.
We did a game night a couple years. Oh yeah, he was fun. Yeah, and I did take that. If you'd have re-entered as Chevy Chase, that would have been fucking great. It wouldn't have played for the podcast.
Yeah, it would have been funny though.
But it would have been great. But we were just talking. Catch you up real quick. Jay recorded his own episode of Nerdcast again.
Oh wow!
But now he can't find the file.
Well, I was
a long story short for people.
I was able to get it. I did it on a Chromebook, and they're just pieces of crap for podcasting. So-
you need an external drive or something, or external recording device or something if you're gonna.
Well, since it's all set up on like a mobile OS, they don't have like editing software.
Oh,
like
you
can
can't
just
do
download.
Audacity on it. Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
you need a web-based.
Yep.
Did you find one?
I found some that charged. I haven't found a free one yet.
Oh yeah, there gotta be a free one out there.
Yeah.
The problem is once you if you don't initially find them on that first page of the Google searches,
Yeah.
then you have to start worrying on how safe they are.
Right.
Yeah, which is a problem. So do you think that this episode will be out at some point?
Yeah, probably the next 2 days.
Ooh, I was gonna say, because when it does come out, will it still be topical?
Yeah.
I would say the same thing.
Yeah, we've been so behind on stuff anyway, since it's been like 2 years since we recorded anything.
Well, I'll tell you guys that I did not write any notes down, but I do have a lot to talk about. I think we all have a lot to talk about, but I do want to start with what happened to me today, and this is going to get a little non-PC, but, what the fuck. It's going to sound that way at first, but I really am posing a question that
I feel like
happens.
this is I'm not racist.
No, that happens to be kind of funny. So today, we're running out of time. School's about to start back up. Soccer's starting back up. We a lot of stuff going on. We still have softball. So today, I took a friend whom you know. I call her Maddie Lou now. The other Maddie on the team, and Hayden to Six Flags today.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been to Six Flags pre-COVID. I don't even know if I went in 2019. But so my theory is it was $25 ticket day, and I don't even have season pass anymore. So I was like, oh, that's a good deal. And it's Monday. Surely it won't be too bad. And it's not like one of those days where the weather is going to be like blazingly hot. So maybe people won't be out. What I didn't anticipate was that half the water, 3/4 of the water rides were not open. And that really bummed me out because I love the water park. Now, I can't ride jack shit in the main park.
Yeah.
One, my back's hurt. Two, I'm a giant man. But so I only went along for the ride. I rode 2 of the main park rides, and then we went down what I call the yellow and blue Tidy Bowl ride. And then we did like the little race, like just a straight water slide down and bat on your belly.
Yeah.
And then we were in Hurricane Harbor or Bay, which was the only things that were open in the water park.
Were they cleaning? Or?
It looks like a lot of maintenance. Now, the whole kids section is completely shut down, gutted, and they're redoing that. And then, but some of the other things had signs that said this will open again will be open midday, but it just didn't open. So I was like, well, shit. All that said, here's the question I want to get to you. It also appeared to be a field trip of sorts for families with kids with disability. Well, not kids, with grown-ups, like with Down syndrome and other things.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who was a brother who was clearly did not have Down syndrome, but he was, not such a nice guy, along for the ride with his brother, take his brother to the park. And the reason I say it seemed like a day, I saw a handful of people and they had a plastic waterproof bag and there was like a piece of paper in it. And this was allowing them to work, in essence, like a fast pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herein lies the problem that I ask. I don't know that Joe was the name of this kid with Down syndrome, or this guy with Down syndrome. He's probably looked to be mid-30s. I don't know that he was enjoying the park as much as his brother was, because he seemed to be just walking real slow and enjoying playing with his short strings more than anything.
Yeah.
And his brother was like, come on, Joe, like constantly.
This is my day. I get one a year.
And he would use him to not fast pass him. So for those that have never been to a theme park, typically how fast pass work, there are certain rides where there is a second line, or you can go through the exit to get there quicker with your fast pass. If you know anything about water rides where you go up like 4 or 5 flights of stairs, there is no second way.
Yeah.
So what Joe and his brother without Down syndrome did, essentially got up there and said, can everybody stand to the left so we can go right by? And then just bullied his way up through the line. And at one point, we were all standing in line to get a raft, or the mats, and he just walked up and grabbed mats, didn't even show this. I was like, this is less about take your brother with Down syndrome out day, and more about, hey, I got the greatest fast pass ever invented. So I was thinking, who's enjoying this day? Because Joe seemed content with and never went above 3 miles an hour in any of his walking, even when he got in front of you.
Should have got him a wheelchair.
He was fully capable of walking, but
but then he would have been faster.
But Again, I'm not trying to be glib. I'm just telling you. I think he would have enjoyed standing in the knee-deep end of Hurricane Bay, just playing with his short strings. He was having fun. He was twirling them. He was pulling them in each direction. And his brother was probably in the 3 lines that I stood in with him, probably said, "Come on, Joe," 700 times.
Yep.
I was like,
How old was his brother? You said 30s?
His brother looked to be probably late 20s, early 30s, and Joe looked to be mid 30 to 40.
Okay.
And it's hard to tell with Down syndrome a little bit sometimes, but he was a grown man. You could tell muscular wise he was a grown man. And I saw other people there with grown adults with Down syndrome that they were by no means were they being aggressive in their line cutting.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
There was a complaint, and I believe Disney had to address it a couple years ago, where well-to-do families were borrowing a handicapped kid for a day
I
to
heard
get
about
through
this.
the lines.
I just-
They were people were renting out their handicapped child for $1,000 a day, and I'm like, first of all of you are terrible people, all of you.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing ever.
Yeah, that is.
Unless the kid's getting all of the money,
Yeah.
you're
College
all
fund.
terrible people. You know?
That's ridiculous.
The point to where, and I did not say anything. I was like, well, I'm going to chalk this one up to Jeremy being a more grown-up person than he was when he was in his 20s. Is at one point, me and Hayden's friend were on the bend, so we're on the flat part of the stairs. You get that little 4x4 or 6x6 flat part before you go up, the comfortable spot to stand.
Yeah.
The one that doesn't make you, because you're carrying a 60-pound raft up the thing and you don't feel quite as scared of heights if you're on the flat part. And he goes, "Could everybody scoot to the left?" And he starts moving, and he does it he does it in an odd, he doesn't say it initially. He just starts kind of inching his way. And anytime, it was almost like a boa constrictor. Every time he took a breath, he'd just get closer. Every time you moved, he'd just get closer. And at one point, Hayden was her face was in my chest, and Hayden's friend was standing behind me, not able to turn and see anything. I go, "What are you girls doing?" And they're like, "I don't know, Dad." And then he goes, "Hey, if everybody just moves left, I'm going to go straight up." And he just took off up. And I go, "I'm just glad he's gone."
Yeah.
Sometimes
it's better that way.
And it felt like 5 minutes later, here comes Joe. Just try. And you hear from the top, "Come on, Joe!" I was like, this is not how this works.
No, wait. I'll just meet you at the top again.
Straps heavy.
Something you talked about, or something you said a while ago, how rich people, finding loopholes. We'll call it finding loopholes in line. I have a travel agent who is a parent on one of the soccer teams we've played on in the last few years. She says there's tips to cut in line at Disney without getting a fast pass. One, tell them you're on a scavenger hunt and you need a picture of the gate. They'll let you go all the way up and then you just go in.
That's bold.
2, tell them you had to use a bathroom and your family's already inside. They'll let you cut through the fast line. Disney doesn't want to start shit. They don't want police involved.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of others, but I'm sure the secret menu list that's out there, there's got to be a website that tells you how to cut in line at Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, the best we ever got to do was when we went to Universal when Vera was born.
That was the other one. They will always let you cut in line at the kid handoff spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll do
so
it all the time.
me and it didn't work out so much for me and Rachel in any but Jeremiah was 8 at the time, so he got to ride everything twice because he would ride with his grandparents and then they would take the baby, and then we would ride, but we still stood in the line.
Yeah.
It's not like we got to pass up the line.
Well, they got rid of the fast passes at Disney.
Did they?
Yeah, with COVID, they didn't bring them back.
Well,
They do time check-ins though, or something?
yeah,
They do that for handicapped people now. So
that's coming back though.
It'll come back.
In fact, Barry, my neighbor, goes a lot.
Yeah.
He said they've already sent emails out. They didn't do it in COVID because they didn't do it in COVID. But with Florida saying COVID doesn't exist in Florida,
right?
They're like, that's an extra. And I'll tell you, because we bought tickets to Disney. If my Disney passes for 3 days were $540, the fast pass was another $600.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's bank. That's how Disney makes that $60 million a day from their theme parks.
Yeah.
That and squeezing 20,000 people in a day.
Oh yeah.
Did you pay for that initially?
We paid for the whole thing, all $6,000, and we got every bit of it back, but 1,800 of it we had to take a credit towards Delta, and that's how we flew to. San
I
Diego.
did. I meant just the pass.
Oh, yeah. I
Was
did.
it worth? I haven't been to.
I didn't
Disney,
go.
so-
COVID.
But that would have been the first time.
That would
you
have
guys did
been the
fast
first
pass?
time I went to Disney and used a fast pass since
Okay.
I was in high school. But in high school, it was our senior trip. We didn't have to have fast passes. We were booked on a senior trip, so we got like special wristbands before they were digital and all that. But even with the fast pass, the good thing about Universal is that it's unlimited, but there's select rides you can't use it.
Yeah.
Whereas Disney, it's not unlimited. You have X amount on your wristband, and you have to time your check-in for your fast pass.
Yep.
See, when we went to Universal, we went in the off season, and it really wasn't too bad. But we only did the one side of the park, and the only ride we couldn't ride was the Minion ride, which I didn't give a fuck about anyways.
Oh, I did that one. I do all those visual, just that 3D.
It's not that I
things. love
couldn't
it.
have done it. It was like that was the only ride that had like a 2.5 hour line.
Oh yeah, the Terminator was awful.
Oh, so
Awful.
bad.
The worst. It looked like it was still being produced. Like at some point, someone can realize, hey, this still looks like 1994.
Like,
Yeah.
Let's
you know,
update.
James Cameron actually shot that. Thing.
Yeah, for a theme ride in 1996.
Yeah.
It's and no one has updated it since.
Did you ride the Mummy though? I thought it was pretty
Oh,
good.
the Mummy. I
for
thought
a 20-year-old ride.
so clearly the escape from Gringotts was the ride to do.
See, that one was broken when I was out.
all the Harry Potter rides in Diagon Alley was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But for my money, because of our fast passes, we rode the Mummy ride like 6 times.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And if you were wet for any reason, ride the Mummy ride because that flame at the end dries you out
cooks
real
you.
quick.
We did that rock and roll one. Did you ride the actual rock and roll roller coaster?
No,
the only real roller coaster.
the
I
roller
had.
coaster was not working when we were there.
We rode that like 5 times in a row because it literally had no line, and it never stops. It's on tank treads.
Oh, yeah.
So you just like
Hop on and off
hop
real
on
quick.
and off.
Those
Yeah,
are the
like,
best.
you cook right through it. Me and Jeremiah rode it like 5 times.
Now, I would love to go back, and because now that Kong Skull Island
Yeah.
and Fast and Furious Experience,
and
all
they're
that's
doing
open.
like a new Jurassic Park too.
Well, they're getting to be able to expand Jurassic Park because the Velociraptor ride and stuff, because they now officially don't have the Marvel rights anymore. They finally expired. So, yeah, they were grandfathered in. This is why you
Yeah.
could go to Disney and see no Marvel. You go in Florida anyway, just in
Yeah,
Florida,
yeah.
but in Universal you could have it. So,
Yeah, I think Spider-Man was still there last time we were there. That was
yeah,
6
little
years
3D
ago.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this, and then we'll get off the
Well, we could segue
theme
off.
park. We did. Masks were back at Six Flags. If you went
yeah.
into a building, you had to have a mask.
Yeah.
There were people arguing it. There absolutely was. There were people that just would. And I, for one, I didn't take my mask because I didn't feel that I would need it at a theme park. And plus, I mean, if you're from out of town, I get the appeal of the shops and the restaurants.
Yeah.
But if you live in St. Louis, you don't go in those.
No,
places.
you pack a cooler.
But I took for granted. That's what we did. We went for lunch and then switched parks. You know, but I took for granted that Mr. Freeze and Batman have
do go
indoor
in.
waiting.
That's
so,
right.
So we did go in, and I went into a shop, and they go, "You need a mask." I go, "I know. That's why I'm here. Where
Yeah.
are they?" And here's the ripoff. They were $5, which is not bad. It says Six Flags
Thought it'd
on
be
it.
worse.
Here's the ripoff. If you have a season pass, they're $1.69, which means those things are 50 cents in cost.
Yeah.
You know, so but anyway, so that was you said we could segue off. We're going to segue into Marvel talk. Is that what we're going to do?
Well, I was just when we were talking about Disney, I thought it'd be that I didn't know if you guys had any opinions on that Scarlett Johansson suing Disney thing.
Well, let's just start there in general. I finally watched Black Widow.
I haven't.
Okay.
That's okay though. I don't really care if you ruin it.
Well, there's not really anything to ruin. You know what's going to happen. She doesn't die, by the way, because you know.
Yeah, she can't. Yeah.
It does lead us right into Infinity War. That's when this takes
So
place.
that's what I was. My only question was, when is it exactly?
There's flashback to when they're kids. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
And then it takes us right into Infinity War.
Right from where Civil War ended.
Yeah, right from
She's on
Civil
the
War
run.
ended into Infinity War. I've heard a lot of people say it was just okay. I've heard a lot of people say it was good. A lot of people who aren't real comic fans have really enjoyed it. And I've heard some diehard comic fans saying it's not their cup of tea. It wasn't a very good movie. I'll just say it falls in the middle, maybe the upper middle of all the Marvel films, which is a hard list. You're
Yeah.
being judged against some really stiff competition.
And if you think about it, like a lot of those like first movies of any of the origin movies are just most of them are just okay.
And that's what I liked about it. It wasn't really an origin movie. They did touch on where the Red Room and where they come from,
but it was an origin movie in the same sense that Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man was an origin. It just made references to an origin. Is it a 4? Maybe not, but I know we, using our universal untapped scale of rating things, we usually go by 0.25 increments. If it's not a 4, it's like a 3.8.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad
Solid movie.
Yeah.
It was. I'll tell you this: all 3 of my girls loved it. They thought it was great.
Did you like it better than Doctor Strange?
No, and because
But it's a different movie, though.
it's a different movie, and the reason I don't like it better than Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange was by no means the benchmark for the Marvel franchise, but it's that one right in the middle, better or worse.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I think it's fine. When it's on, I
I
watch
just
it.
like Doctor Strange as a character more.
Yeah.
Is why I liked Doctor Strange.
That was probably more visually stunning than Black
Yeah,
Widow
and
was.
I like Benedict Cumberbatch. And don't get me wrong, I like ScarJo, and I like Flo Pugh, or as I like to call her, Mrs. Zach Braff. But
What is she in besides this? I have no idea.
Midsommar, she was in.
Oh, she's that
fighting,
girl.
Fighting with My Family, which is that.
None of this I've
that's that
watched.
WWE movie,
Yeah.
which was pretty good. It's about the origin
I
of
know
her
what you're talking
Paige. Yeah, and she's also engaged to Zach Braff. So
Oh,
Yeah.
good for him.
and then it set up Hawkeye a little bit with the post credits.
yeah, it set it up, and it did reference Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It brought
Yeah,
her in.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
that was supposed to be her first appearance in the movies.
But now she's suing because I guess apparently from what I read today, her paycheck was based on box office draw.
So she
Or a portion of
a
it?
lot
Yeah.
of the big ones, the big stars, and by big stars, and she is certainly a big
Yeah.
star in this franchise. She's been in a lot of
I
the
think she's
movies.
made 15 million.
Well, she got 20 million up front for this movie,
Yeah.
and then she does get a percentage of the Disney Plus premiere. Absolutely. When these stars have because here's the thing, they always talk in Hollywood about fuzzy math. They talk about how even the most profitable movies of all time don't. If you've watched the movies that made us season 2,
Yeah.
they talked about how even with the math that Hollywood likes to use, there's no doubt that I think it was Pretty Woman,
Yeah.
made a lot of money, and they had to pay some people because usually Hollywood accountants make movies look like they never make money.
Oh, yeah.
And which, by the way, segue or tangent, movies that made us. I'd forgotten that it was Jurassic Park was the first movie to where the marketing budget exceeded the budget of the movie. I
haven't gotten all the way through it.
and it's been the same ever since
Yep.
in big tentpole movies.
That's awesome.
Well,
it's terrible, but it's
anyway, which is why
interesting.
Kevin Smith doesn't do studio movies
Yeah.
anymore. But anyway, back to this. So she, no doubt that these Marvel actors, the big ones, the Downey Juniors, the Chris Evans, the Chris
and her,
Hemsworth,
she's really the only.
and
she's
her.
an original.
yeah, they're definitely making more money by getting the back end.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. That said, Kevin Feige seems to be on her side, and I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you right now, it's the most if you read it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
She's not going to win this lawsuit.
No.
Because one, and Jay and I talked about this a little bit yesterday at our girls' softball practice. One, there's no guarantee. Look at even big movies aren't making $150 million opening weekends right now.
Yeah.
It's not happening. You would have had to delay it another year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Her
they're,
ar- yeah, go
they're
ahead.
dropping off, too, like 70% after the first week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was her argument. Was it dropped off? Her lawyer's argument is it dropped off so bad because it was on streaming, and she's not getting as much on the back end of streaming as she would on the back end of the theater.
But it's one of those things where I like we talked, like, is it, and I don't know the numbers, and we probably won't ever know the numbers unless this goes to court. Then we're going to hear about them. Let's say she got 10%, or not, we know it's not 10%, but let's say she got 10% of the gross from the box office, and it went on to make 60 million, which 60 million would be a big weekend right now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a big Marvel weekend, but right now in the world we are, that'd be a massive weekend. So she makes 10% of that. That's $6 million.
Yeah.
Let's say on $30 at home, 1 million people watch this worldwide. That's $30 million. Let's say she gets 5% of that. That's $6 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she got a bump in her up front. I get what they say that the way they released it hurt her paycheck, but I think from her perspective and her lawyer's perspective, and certainly Kevin Feige, who we all worship at his throne, he's a smart man.
Yeah.
I feel like average Joe in the street shouldn't be the one to tell them, you guys aren't taking in consideration the state of the industry right now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not good. Theaters aren't selling out.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I want to go see a movie, but at the same time, I'm like, I can, especially with this HBO Max thing, like, I really want to see Suicide Squad in the theater, but I also have HBO Max, and I don't really see
Yeah,
any reason
I'm not
to pay.
going to. And you're one that's been going to theater, right, Jay?
Yeah, yeah, and we'll probably be there Friday for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I
But
watched Quiet Place just because it was a birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quiet Place 2.
The theater by our house, nobody goes to. So opening night on Black Widow,
That one just reopened, too.
there was like 20 people.
Yeah,
there.
that's...
And I'm not super worried about that. It's
not
just,
not to tell all of our amazing, big, crazy, diehard fans to sock Jay, but that's the Winghaven Theater,
Yeah.
and it's just reopened.
Oh, it's not even the Winghaven one.
Oh.
It's the one over off Highway N over by Target.
Oh, I
that
forgot
one.
about that
You go
one.
to that one?
That's
Okay. I've only been
is
to that one
an
once.
AMC or is
That's
that
Marcus.
Marcus?
yeah, they're all Marcus now. The mall, now we're getting real deep into St. Charles County, but the mall apparently redid their theater. I drove
Oh, it's
by.
awesome. It's got a full bar with a giant TV.
I haven't been in there,
It's
but
awesome.
I drove by and they're advertising it outside.
We should do a movie trip for the podcast at some
Dude, I
big
would
movie.
love it.
But before, go an hour early and sit at that bar because that bar is awesome.
That is cool. The only problem I have with that is I always have to pee like midway through the movie if I drink. And
Well,
I'm
it
like,
would
damn
be a
it!
funny part of the podcast. It would be a funny part of the podcast.
It's dark in there. We wouldn't see you.
But no, yeah, like I get the argument, but back on task. It opened it up to what's her name who played Cruella,
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone,
Yeah.
and they were wondering if the Jungle Cruise people are going to do the same thing because they released that on Disney Plus too. I don't know.
You know what? And I'm not saying this is a better person, or I'm not saying that he's a more loyal to Disney, but I'll tell you this. The Rock is certainly a guy that I don't actually think has ruled out a presidency run.
No.
And I certainly don't know that guy knows how to work his image better than any actor alive, which is why he's the highest paid actor. I bet he will not sue. I bet instead he'll say, well, you know what? I'll just donate what I thought I could have made to charity. And it's gonna
Yeah.
So that was my thing is like, also he's not stupid and he's not going to shoot himself in the foot with one of the largest studio in the world now.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's not close.
no,
It's not close.
yeah, like Scarlett Johansson and Emma Stone can live off of fucking indie movies forever, but nobody's going to watch an indie movie with The Rock in it. Or they might. I don't know. You know?
By the
So
way,
do you
go ahead.
think this will hurt their long-term image, though, with people that like have lost their job because of the pandemic and
No.
they're sitting there fighting over...
I don't think people care when it comes to entertainment.
No, I don't either.
I don't think. Oh, you mean Scarlett and
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah.
I don't. So I'll just tell you this. I think of all the big stars in this movie, Scarlett Johansson probably is the one that I don't think. I mean, I think there's a lot of women out there that don't like her.
Yeah.
My wife certainly thinks that she's annoying. Has
Yeah.
always thought that.
I think most of the Asian community doesn't like her because she
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
takes
not
their
talking-
roles.
You know,
took.
but
She
you
stopped
are-
doing that, apparently.
But you are right.
Michael Che called out Colin Jost for that on Saturday Night Live.
At the end of the day, she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if she didn't get if she got 80% of her paycheck, she's fine.
Let me throw one more conspiracy theory out there. You think it's like the movie theater companies, like all putting together lawyers to like stop Disney Plus and them from doing at home stuff,
That's
and then they're
certainly
just
not
a
a possibility.
quiet.
Well, that
quiet-
was a big deal a year ago when
Early,
the
yeah.
Trolls
Yeah.
movie came out because it went straight to streaming. And
Yep,
they're like,
I know that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
And they
they're not going to get
actually
that fight
said
up.
they were mad and they weren't going to show any more
Universal movies.
Universal movies. And Universal's like, okay, streaming's
Yeah.
working pretty good.
Yeah,
remember that when Fast 9 comes out?
Yeah. We almost pulled the trigger on watching Fast 9, but we went with
what's
like,
it
with
streaming on now? It's streaming now, right?
No, you just pay for it, like what is it called? Sneak peek or early.
But
But you
release.
can watch it from home. Is what I'm
You
saying.
have been from the beginning, so
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll wait for that
But
one
it's
to
like
be
$30
free.
also, $20 to $30.
So, do you own or do you only get Black Widow for like 48 hours?
No,
or something?
$30 is just renting it for
That's
however
what I
long.
thought.
Yeah, 24 hours. I guess let's segue off of that though, and talk about. I'll bring up something. Talk about something that's been pretty popular, and I certainly were on week 2 of it, and we did make a pact to not talk about it until the episode started.
And we went
are
an
you-
extra week.
Are you caught up with Ted Lasso?
I've watched the first one.
Okay.
I don't even know what day do they come out.
Friday.
Do they come out Fridays?
Everything streaming apparently has picked Friday as its day.
Disney,
Well, Disney
not anymore.
switched to Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Apple's, I don't know. Maybe they're like, well, we don't want to be like them. And so Apple will soon switch to Wednesday. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think everybody's chasing Disney.
yeah.
Well, I think Disney did that partially because they have Bad Batch on Friday and they don't want to.
Yeah,
that's
you
done
have two
now,
things
right?
running at once.
Bad Batch is done now, right?
I think there's a couple more weeks left.
there?
So what'd you think of episode 1 of Ted Lasso?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it picked up. I liked how it picked up in the middle of the season, and they're not like the fucking sweethearts going. Like they
Yeah.
haven't won a game yet. I thought that was really smooth.
Jokes
Roy-
are still hitting?
Yeah, the jokes are still hitting, and I think this is Roy Kent's season. I mean, it's early. I'm only watching one episode, but this is Roy Kent's breakout season. I think maybe
Roy Kent, what do you mean?
like is him being more like in the front.
Oh, I think eventually he's going to be a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
And I think, I'm not going to ruin episode 2 for you, but I think at the end of episode 2 is darn sure
Yeah.
we're going to see Roy Kent as a coach
I like
now.
the thick beard though. He looked cool with it.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you, episode 2, for as great as this show is, and it is great, it may be my favorite. I think this show, Schitt's Creek, and Fleabag are like the 3 best shows I've probably discovered for whatever reason in the last 3-5 years. We forget that it's still an adult show. Episode 2 reminds you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good when you watch it. Episode 2, now you know there's language, but there's a little bit strong sexual situations. in
Oh,
episode
really?
2.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
Okay.
They're hilarious. Is it a 5 out of 5? I don't know, but I'm going to give it that already. I just
I mean, it's
love it.
two episodes in.
Should we pray? Yeah, but to what God and what language? You can always just cross your fingers. Yeah, I mean, one thing I will like is what they've kind of carried over. They started a little in the first season, and episode 2 does a good job. I like seeing the players have a bigger role or have bigger moments, and there was a good player moment in episode 2.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, me and Missy both, I don't like the therapist.
Yeah.
But I don't think
that's
we're
her,
supposed to.
Yeah, that's her job is to be hated.
They start chipping away at that in the
Yeah.
episode 2.
But
so.
they're gonna do that. I think these writers are good enough that you'll come around to her when Ted Lasso comes around to her. Otherwise, you're never gonna come around to her. You know?
Yeah.
Like, cause that whole first episode, his uneasiness, like you felt it, like in the episode.
Yeah.
It's almost like they got the team owner to come around the first season, so they needed someone else to fill that
Yeah.
role.
Yeah, a little bit of an in-house foil.
Yeah.
But she's... We won't talk anymore because you haven't watched
That's
it.
fine.
But in episode 2, she's not the bad guy. And you see by the end of episode 2, she... in very simple, seemingly of a throwaway line, and I'll give you the line, heavy is the head that wears the visor, Coach
Yeah.
Lasso? And he makes a decision in episode 2 that it's not going to go over well with the team. And everybody kind of turns and looks at him, and he just has a smile. Because we forget, because Ted is such a nice guy, but we forget he was a football coach and the guy in charge, and he makes the decisions, and who gives a shit?
Yeah.
that was a funny part in episode 2. You're going to see, too, when what's his name? The GM, the director of football operations,
can't
the old
think of
guy with the
Oh, I
glasses.
know what you're talking about.
Higgins.
Higgins.
Yes, Higgins. Why couldn't I not remember Higgins? I love Magnum. But Higgins he says when he finds out that she's a permanent hire for the season, the therapist, he goes, "Damn it, Higgins! I wish you would have ran this by me." Oh, you're absolutely right. No, I'm not right. You're the director of football operations. But next time, send me a text. He goes, I will. He goes, no, you won't. You don't have to. And Lasso's so torn over it. But yeah, so we won't talk about it anymore. But expect that if we will always talk about the last episode as long as we're all caught up.
Oh yeah, for
because
sure,
we love
for
the
sure.
show.
I didn't even know. Like I said, I didn't know what days it came out.
It's one of those shows I can't wait for it to finish to stream it all at once, and I can't wait to talk about it until it's all done. We
Yeah.
got to keep going. This is the year of the real time Ted Lasso wrap up talk.
Yeah, I think so, and I will do better. I did finish Mythic Quest, and I loved every minute of it.
Did you finish it? Right?
Yeah, I did.
Is that
We haven't talked about it yet.
No,
right?
we haven't. We waited for you to finish. But am I right? Either that's a really good season finale or an incredibly good series finale.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm torn, like, because I am that guy that's
Can't
like
be
aimed on a high note.
It's not
Yeah.
Mythic Quest. If it keeps going forward, I could see them changing intentionally, doing something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
And like bringing in new characters and it not working, and them slowly chip. I don't know. I think it's fine. Just let it end. It was good. It was
really good. I like I'm kind of romantic when it comes to 3 seasons. Like I think a 3-season arc is what we should have. I don't mind not getting 8 to 10 like our old school TV.
Yeah.
But 2 leaves me wanting. Now I know this. Ted Lasso is supposed to be a 3-part act. But he said in an interview on the Today Show on NBC that they're really, really trying to convince him to go 5 seasons.
If the story's there, why not?
That's what he said. He said, he created that character as just a promos for the EPL. And Bill Lawrence of Scrubs, they were like, no, this is a show. He said, if we can keep coming up with good stuff, he goes, but, the moment that it's not funny, it's not a show.
Yeah.
It's not heartfelt. It's not a show.
Yeah, and I think, that Mythic Quest ending, and then I thought it was it worked, but the multi-episode story arc for CW, like the flashback,
very
and then like the follow-up episode was very, very
Well,
good.
like we talked about the flashback in season 1, like you said, you don't know where they're going, but the CW was a little more on the nose. We knew where that
like it was
going.
like,
But it made him a deeper character than just the comic relief that he had been.
Yeah.
like he is a hack, but he's also like a successful hack who has a complicated past.
But not only is he a hack, but he stole from one of the greatest writers of all time.
Yeah. And that chicken, I forget her name. I looked her up 'cause she's very good looking.
In the flashback?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And the daughter. I forget her name, but she's super good looking. But,
Hottie McHottie Pants.
yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. And her daughter.
And I like when they're getting together at the end and they make up or whatever, and he's like, you took a shit in my desk. He's like, I did take a shit in your desk. Like, he just owns it. Like, it's just a thing that he does. It was good, though. I really enjoyed it.
What'd you bring, Jay?
So I watched that first episode of Music Box.
I don't think you've watched it, but this is not a spoiler warning. And by the way,
what is that? I don't even know what it is.
It's on HBO Max.
It's a music documentary series they're doing.
I think there's only one episode a season, though.
Is it?
I don't think there's another episode scheduled.
Who's the first episode?
So
Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I thought that was just its own standalone.
No, it's a part of a series of music documentaries you can do. So, remind me, put a pin in music talk and the throw it to Missy segment, which we got to name something else, I guess now.
Yeah.
I've got a music show that I watched over the weekend, but let's talk about the documentary. You and I talked about it briefly yesterday, and we kind of tabled it till today. For those that don't know, we all know what Woodstock is, and I am lucky enough to have lived where I could have went to both Woodstock 94 and 99 had I choose, and we really tried to go to Woodstock 99.
There was a 94.
So Woodstock 94 was a 25th anniversary, and it was actually well done.
Yeah.
It was the one that's famous for the mud people, and that's the one where like Les Claypool and Trent Reznor all went out and got into the mud, and no one knew they were out there. They were just out there enjoying the music. There's a lot of cool stories from Woodstock 94.
You know what? I thought that was 99. I didn't realize there was 2 of them.
So there was, in 99 was the 30th anniversary. They moved it away from the original venue to a closed down military Air Force base. So it had a lot of space, a lot of buildings. And there were, in fact, mud people. But as you learned from this documentary, that was shit people. Because it was the overflow. It's the one that 99's the one. And you don't hear a lot about 94 because it kind of was a lower key. And 99 dwarfed it so much in some of the things that happened. Like, now I will say this, and Jay, you take the ball from this. I was shocked that the expensive water that people bitched about was $4.
Yeah.
Even back then, $4 at a water at a game or an event was pretty standard.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the people were more upset they couldn't bring their own water in.
That was a problem.
Yeah.
Because they were allowed to bring in tents, drugs. They were actually told to just overlook drugs, but they couldn't bring in water or food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big deal. And then the other deal, I think the other note, we'll get to the one note that we talked about at the end. The other big note, I apologize for not knowing his name, but it was Michael something was one of the original co-founders.
Sarah.
Yes, Michael Sarah. And then his partner. His partner in this comes across as a giant MTV's to blame douchebag. Yeah. He blames throughout the entire documentary, the media, and at the time it was MTV, and it was really they
What a
painted-
lazy scapegoat now.
Well, so MTV did go hard at this thing, but like I told him, all the things MTV were saying, none of the people at the show knew they were saying it because they weren't watching TV that day.
I
that
assume
weekend.
this was Kurt Loder.
Kurt Loder, went hard, and he compared Kurt Loder. He said, "Well, I think the reason Kurt Loder took the stance he did because he always wanted to be a wartime reporter, and this was his war."
He was the only genuine journalist that MTV actually had. Like, he was a real journalist.
Well, and this was at a weird time where MTV was starting to get
out.
People were turning on MTV because all the the Nirvanas, the Headbangers Ball has gone away. Yo MTV Raps had went away. TRL had took over.
Yeah, Carson Daly was big at the time,
and it
was just
you couldn't hate a nicer guy in Carson Daly.
Yeah,
he did nothing wrong, but it was starting. People were starting to turn on him and saying, "You're just playing top 40s now, and that's it." So they did revolt. They did tear down the MTV stages. They did not like MTV, but. The guy, though, constantly said, well, if MTV didn't do this, I think MTV's at fault in this. And like what you miss, like I just said a while ago, what he blatantly misses is no one at the show was watching their TV that weekend.
Yeah.
So why would they know?
There was no cell phones like today, no streaming
Yeah.
where they could see what they're saying and act on it.
That was one of the sad parts of the documentary, which you got to watch because
I will watch it. It's
they've got a guy's journal that was there. And the guy never talks, and you find out he was the death that happened. And
his friend is there, and he's explaining what they were doing at the show. And you get his journal, and they read things from it.
And like to his point, no cell phones was a big deal. They couldn't find him.
Yeah.
They had to just literally brag. There was a big billboard in the middle of the event where people were putting notes for lost friends and stuff up there.
We went back to the tent, come find us, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And then, let's see, I got a couple notes on it. They also blamed Limp Bizkit for a lot of it, but Fred Durst was the typical douche he's always been.
So I remember this greatly. And then Limp Bizkit, the next year, Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water was the album that came out.
After this?
Yeah.
So they were already done.
Chocolate Starfish was a big album. Their first 3 or 4 albums were big albums.
Yeah, but that was
all multi-platinum.
Yeah, I know, but I guess I was done with them then.
That was the beginning of the end.
That was the beginning. But one of their videos was essentially had press clippings, and it was like they were being like the video was like, "Why are you blaming us for all this?" I will say this. I remember because I was, like I said, it wasn't just that I was old enough. I was 21. I was drinking and doing dumb things, and me and Missy, and we'll get to this point when we're done, had a long talk of how I would have behaved had I been there. But Fred Durst certainly did not start anything. What Fred Durst did was not help anything.
Yeah.
You see them, they actually have it on camera, guys, the stagehands coming up and saying, can you bring the mood down a little? And he just doesn't do it.
He goes into break stuff.
He goes into, but to the point... The same thing, and people don't talk about this, was asked to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Could you, maybe things are getting a little tense, there's some fire started, could you chill out and address it? So what did they do? Their encore was Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire, a cover of Jimi Hendrix's song, loud. And it just sparked more.
Yeah.
And then you had Rage, and then you had Metallica. And
I think I heard that Offspring was like one of the only bands that actually call out people for groping
Yeah, they
women.
were.
yeah, Mark, the lead singer, Mark Rawson, isn't that his name?
I think so.
Something like that. He said, it's just not cool, man.
Yeah.
He goes, but if you want to do something, when a guy comes by, you grab his nuts as hard as you can. See how they like it. You know? And I guess... Go ahead with whatever your other points.
Limp Bizkit went on Saturday evening right before Rage Against the Machine and Metallica.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's on the promoters for setting that lineup that way.
There was 3
Why wouldn't you
female acts through the whole thing, and they were on 3 different days.
And early.
And, like, Rosie Perez came out, like, introduced an act, and the whole crowd, which, in this documentary, 20-something-year-old frat boy white guys takes a hit. And they should.
Yeah.
Because Rosie Perez comes out to introduce a band, and they start screaming, show your tits.
Yeah.
Show you. It's like,
You hear
what?
that multiple times throughout the whole
I got
documentary.
a
and then-
20-year-old white guy story of myself that I don't like so much about things like that.
And,
you know?
and I'm not, and I am no way blaming a victim. And I will say this, and I'll do this, and then you can get back to your points. The last 20 minutes is dark. Because they get into what the sexual assaults that happened. At the end of the day, there were 18 reported. 10 convictions or something like that, maybe even less. But they think hundreds happened.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
people just didn't say anything.
Like just people that passed out and don't remember what happened. Yeah.
I will say this, and it's not the victim's fault. This should never happen. There never needs to be an environment where this happens. But in 1999, when you have that much booze and that much heat and drugs, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of women walking around topless the whole weekend. Like,
That's not an excuse.
it's not an excuse, but this is where you hope you raise your kids better and say, fill the room.
Yeah.
And,
And
like
one-
Moby was
Yeah.
like this. He goes, when I went on stage in the Transcendental tent, which was supposed to be a change for people who didn't want to hard rock, he goes, all it was the hard rockers came in that tent, and me and the band were like, this isn't a good scene. They cut their set early and booked it.
Yeah.
And got out of there.
and they pointed out too that this was the time of Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah.
There was a lot of as much as, and again, don't think that I'm giving the sexual assaulter an excuse, but this is a time period where white
Exploitation was a
20-minute,
big deal.
20-year-old white guys and white girls were behaving like fucking morons.
Yep.
That still goes on today. So here's real quick. My one note, I think all these guys that were giving white guys a bad name and were doing this to women, I'm fairly certain they're the people in their 40s on the internet that pass on fake news about Trump
Oh, yeah,
all
for
the
sure.
time.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same
For
crowd.
sure.
It's the
For
same
sure.
crowd. I hate to generalize. It's the same crowd.
Yeah.
It's
For
the
sure.
grab her by her pussy crowd.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I'm back in the old days when I could grab a girl by the vagina at a
I
concert.
go to concerts.
The good old days.
Fingers in every hole. You could stand there long enough, and a naked girl would just come over the top of you.
There was one girl that said that she was just frozen. Like she had different guys grabbing her arms and legs, and they were just.
No, not just that.
Yeah.
But she said what made her freeze up was she heard one guy say, "Let's tear her apart."
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fires, they addressed that too. When Red Hot Chili Peppers were out there, there was a non-for-profit group handing out candles for a vigil for
For
victims
Columbine.
for Columbine.
Oh, my God.
Talk about
You cannot stay in the room.
well-intentioned problems.
Yeah. But don't give a bunch of drunk, high people candles.
That
That's
had
just
been
a
there for-
terrible idea.
That had been there for 3 days.
There was one guy that actually participated in the stuff that they were talking to because they had a lot of concert
Yeah.
goers they talked to. He said when the the National Guard showed up and the fire department showed up, they didn't turn on a water hose, they didn't tase anybody, they didn't spray anybody. They just they just respectfully marched people away from the fire so they could put out the fires. He goes, if a fire breaks out at a hip hop festival, let's see how non-lethal it goes.
Yeah.
And this is a white guy that says it. He goes, I guarantee it's handled different even today.
Yeah.
Well, there was that redneck fest at the very beginning of summer or early spring, and it was here. No, it was in Tennessee or something like that. And
Now
but-
it just seems like you're being a stereotyping people.
no, it was like
But
big
it was in
trucks.
Nashville, home of the Hicks.
Yeah,
vendor?
no, it was big trucks and mudding, and like several people got
Big
shot.
trucks and drunk fucks listening
Yeah,
to
dude, it
country
was-
music.
But several people got shot, and there was like 10 overdoses, and like 55 people got arrested.
I did not know you could overdose on Natter Days.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing.
I think it was the meth. I think it's
Oh,
probably
yeah,
the meth.
that could be.
But this shit still goes on. It's just like lower form, and MTV's not going to be there.
Yeah, they're not covering that
Well, you
one.
remember we used to have Schwag Fest or whatever here in
Yeah, we
St.
did.
Louis.
Yeah,
and
Mrs. Brother used to go.
the guy who owned that farm is in prison now, I think.
Imagine
because-
he let a bunch of stoned people every year.
Yeah, and now his property is a state park. Apparently, a really nice one.
Oh, I was gonna say now his property state owned, and they're growing a ton of weed.
No, I think it's I think it is opened up to the it's got like bike trails.
What
and
else
shit
you
in it.
have on the concert?
I think that was it. They talked about doing the 50th anniversary in 2019 that got canceled.
Yeah, it got canceled.
yeah.
They announced it
Shocking.
but it wasn't COVID related canceling. It was some other problems fell through. They did say that the lesson was learned because Coachella started 1 year after, less than 1 year, and at the door they were handing out free bottles of water to people walking
Yeah.
in. And to this day, Coachella just celebrated its 22nd year,
Yep.
and no assault cases have ever
Yeah.
been. Now, I ain't gonna lie. There's a lot
I'm
of
sure there's
ecstasy.
shit going
There's some
on.
people getting raped at Coachella.
Yeah.
So
My
They
cousin,
just don't remember.
yeah.
My cousin stayed at a hostel at the same weekend that Coachella was going on.
Did he lose a kidney or anything?
No, but he did say that everyone came in and smelled like shit, like literal human feces. They were like covered in mud, and he goes, "I can't stay here anymore." And he went and rented a hotel.
I have on good authority that from the only source I know that if you stay in a hostel, people will try to torture you.
And that one movie,
And I think it's 2 or 3
I think
movies.
it's 3, maybe 5 movies. I can't believe they haven't revived
According to
that
Eli
yet.
Roth.
Yeah, according to Eli Roth, you will be mutilated. Probably though, the Hostel 1, very underrated movie, maybe one of the greatest comeuppance in the history of scary movies. At the end, when the dude gets out, and he gets on the train, and the guy's there, so he's like, that was torturing, so he kills him, and it's like that guy's got it coming. Like
Oh, that's weird. That's a weird twist. Normally, it's like what is
the killer keeps going.
Yeah, like House of a Thousand Corpses, where they break out and they get like she waves down the car and it's the same fucking guys again.
No, in Hostel, the good guy wins. Well, I mean, he's got his tendon cut, and there's a lot of all his friends are dead, but he still gets the guy that tried to kill him. So
Yeah, well, that's cool.
yeah.
I have no interest in watching those movies.
Well, you're not a scary movie fan like we are. I watched a side on a tangent, and then we got to.
Oh, we can go into movies now because that's what my topic was. Go
we
ahead.
watched every once in a while. Missy likes to watch a B movie, and we watched Pledge Night on Shudder last night, and it was from 1989. 90 was when it was billed, but I read the thing. It was made in 88, released in 89.
A lot of sexploitation in that one.
There is some boobs. There's the pig party where the quote unquote ugly girls, which weren't that ugly, all relatively attractive women, but I guess some of them were slightly plump. But it's all about 6 pledges on Hell Week, and everyone leaves, and typically they trick you into thinking there's a crazy member of the frat, and then obviously at some point people start dying. But you think it's the guy that's supposed to be posing as crazy, really is crazy. But then there's a secondary story of how this was a frat 20 years previously, and a hippie, they were going to fake dumping them in a tub of acid, but someone put real acid in.
Oh, no.
And
That happens, man.
So he's the ghost that actually just busts up through the stomach of this guy, which was the only real good effect.
Wait,
in
so
the
this
whole
is
movie.
an actual ghost movie, not just a...
Right. He's essentially former frat guy pledged Freddy Krueger is what he is, and he's kind of got a deformed face.
I'm in.
And every scene he says things like, "Where's the protest, man?" or "Chill out," or things like that. But what's
Oh, wait, he kills him in the freezer, though, when he says
no,
chill
he
out.
doesn't. No.
Oh, come on. That's a missed opportunity.
So, and then there's the through line, the connective tissue that binds this whole story together. One of the pledges, who's a townie, it was his illegitimate father that was killed. And at the very end of the movie, he's killed all these people, and he's about to kill the girl, but his son comes in to stop him. And for whatever reason, they wait till like the last 3 deaths to introduce the fact that before he kills you, he goes, "Who are you?" and asks their name. And they only do that for this scene. And he goes, "I'm Steve Toner," or whatever his name, Bonner. And he goes, "What?" And then he puts his hand on his shoulder. He goes, "I only did it to protect you." And then he fades away. And that's the climactic scene. And then then there's a post, an epilogue, and it's a guy laying in one of the guys that was supposed to be stabbed when they fake stabbed someone to trick them at the beginning. He comes back and he's laying with a girl in his bed, and he convinces her to take her top off, so he's feeling her boobs and stuff. And yes, they show it. And she's like, "I don't know, should we be doing this now?" He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Some psychopath killed all my brothers. Only ones that lived was one pledge, and my ex-girlfriend is now with him. Who deserves some pussy more than me?" And she goes, "You might be right." And so as they're having sex, he comes up through the floor, and because it's a bunk bed style thing, and he's got a sword from earlier in the movie, and he goes, "Rock on, man." And that's how it ends.
Oh, my God.
It's a perfect.
Very 80s.
Oh, it's a half a star out of 5. I mean, it's but worth every minute. Me and Missy, for the first 30 minutes, were like, "Is this a scary movie?" And then when it hits its stride, it's like, "Oh, Sort of. Like, what was the movie you were
Well, I watched a couple movies, and we can
I watched a couple too.
take
One
them or
good
leave
one I
them.
want to
I'll
talk
throw them
about.
out there. I
Well,
watched.
Let's just call this the unofficial needs to be new name. Throw it to Missy segment.
Yeah, I watched Freaky with Vince Vaughn
Great
and
movie.
Catherine Newton.
Vince Vaughn's amazing in it.
I watched Gunpowder Milkshake with
I enjoyed
Karen
it. Yeah.
Gillian and Lena Headey. And then I watched Space Jam.
Wait a minute, Lena Headey and Karen Gillian, and how about
Carla Cugino and
Angela Bassett,
Michelle
Angela
Yeoh.
Michelle
Bassett,
Yeoh,
Michelle Yeoh, yeah.
and some of the guys in it were, I mean, that
Paul
movie's,
Giamatti.
that
Yeah.
movie's got stars. Man.
It does have stars, but so we can talk about that one first.
Let's do it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun John Wick wannabe.
Yeah, it's Lady Wick.
Yeah.
It's Lady, like he and I talked. It's John Wick meets Kill Bill meets someone who really enjoyed Quentin Tarantino's movies.
Yeah.
but put a female cast in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought that the paralyzed fight scene was one of the most original fight scenes I've seen in a long time.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it.
Made no sense because she could still use her fingers convenient times. But,
Yeah.
No. She was using gravity. Using gravity
No.
to swing and the gun would go off. She was getting lucky.
That was what it was. I'll buy it.
I liked it. I thought it was a good time.
I love Karen Gillian. I've
Yeah.
loved her
Yeah.
since Doctor Who. Love her in the Marvel Universe. So I loved her in that. I don't think we talked about that on the last week's episode, did we? We didn't talk about Gunpowder Milkshake. I just think we
no, I don't think you did.
Yeah,
Because it just came out last Friday, I think.
it's been out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. I thought I dug it. There's gonna be a sequel. I mean,
Is it really?
well, I mean, there has to be the way it ended.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
So that and the gas fight scene when everybody's all fucked up and they're fighting her in
yeah.
the hospital. That was fun too.
Well, that was all part of the same scene, really.
There was a bowling alley in between, I think. No.
No, there wasn't. They come out all
Oh
laughing.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's all the same
yeah,
scene.
you're right. It is all the same scene.
What did you think overall of that movie, Jay?
I gave it a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
I give it. I might even go 3.5. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it a lot.
I think it's a solid 3. The plot was simple, which is fine. I don't think Karen Gillian is a great actress, but I enjoyed all the action
Yeah,
scenes.
I don't know that she needs to carry a film, but I think
No,
she's
yeah,
great
yeah.
in films.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the same thing. I will say that Carla Cugino
Smoking hot.
didn't know her actual name, and I looked her up, and she's been in a million things. And
Huh. She's made a career. Look it up. Out of being The Rock's wife or ex-wife.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Because I went through her IMDb page today, and she's in like a million things with the like. There's literally like 6 movies she's in with The Rock, and I guess she got her big breakout. I guess with Spy Kids 3D, where she was.
Our Sin City.
Yeah, but and I think she did that because she enjoyed working with Robert Rodriguez in Spy Kids 3D.
Yeah, that
I'll
makes
take one
sense.
too. And but she did say that role kind of slowed her down because she kept getting cast as moms and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Because she was a Spy Kids mom. She goes, I was 28 years old at the time, and Antonio Banderas was like 45 when that movie came out.
By the way, I think so. Me and Missy, we don't have an official like Ross and Rachel list of celebrities that we have a pass on, but there are some that we occasionally will say, well, who's your hottest people in the in Hollywood or and I don't know that there's a better casted kid of a fake couple, so Carla and Rock's daughter in San Andreas is Alexandra Daddario, who
Yes.
might be one of the most attractive women in the world.
Yeah, she is. She is.
The most beautiful eyes. I had to pull her up just to remind me.
Yeah.
Did you watch?
Oh, she gets naked
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Did you watch? What's the Woody Harrelson in Matthew
True Detective.
True Detective, yeah. Yeah,
She's banging Woody Harrelson. I'm like, ugh, that's gross.
but also perfect body.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, but she's been there. She's their daughter in San Andreas.
Which I never watched, and I probably never will.
Oh, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it, and then you can make a weekend out of it and watch the remake of Towering Inferno, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's The Rock with a peg leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but still able to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. There was when that movie came out and he does that big jump from like the tower or
Oh,
whatever.
the physics people,
all the physics
yeah.
people were like, "This is impossible for anyone, let alone a guy with one leg."
Yeah, look at the angle. Not gonna happen. But adrenaline.
Yeah, I thought Gunpowder Milkshake was a lot of fun. I thought if Netflix is gonna make movies like, they should make either higher budget movies or movies like this that are just a good fucking time. Apparently, those Fear Streets are really good. I haven't watched them.
We watched them. We watched
of
all
them?
3 of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Are they scary? Nope. Are they fun? Yeah, a little bit. Worth watching.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were the adult R.L. Stein books. He wrote.
Oh, I didn't know that
R.L.
either.
Stein wrote adult-themed scary books, and this was those.
Oh, that's cool.
Their Fear Street are them. It's here's the only problem they have. They're not quite cheesy enough to be like B movie style scary, and they're not quite scary enough to be actual scary, so they're kind of in that middle part where it's just
Don't they do that cheerleader movie too or something like that? Netflix has that cheerleader movie too. I think it's about the same thing.
I don't know what the cheerleader one is.
It's got Bella Thorne in it.
Oh,
There's 2 of them.
where
Maybe it's Babysitter or something. Something about
they have a
cheerleaders.
babysitter. The Bella Thorne one's a revenge movie. Or I know you're talking about that. I don't think they have that one. And I think that's new. That's delayed release because of everything.
I'll look it up.
All right,
It's
you
on-
look it
it's on
up.
Netflix.
While you look it up, I'll bring up a movie. Oh wait, what was your other movie?
Freaky. I thought that. Well,
You
Freaky and
haven't watched
Space
I haven't
Jam.
watched yet.
Freaky was fun as shit.
So Freaky. All you need to say is it's Vince Vaughn acting like a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And that was my only complaint is like, I feel like those 2 never met and like decided on like how they were both gonna act. Cause like Vince Vaughn is a good actor, but like I think trying to play a teenage girl, we're all gonna go like in the same direction of this, and like, and he did that, which was fine.
Oh, it worked
but,
for me.
Yeah.
but she didn't really do that up to that point. But what I really liked about it, and I thought was a lot of fun, is like, and I wish they would have leaned into it a little bit more. Is in the beginning, like when they switched bodies, it's basically Freaky Friday, but
Yeah,
one of
the
them's a
scary
murderer.
movie,
Yeah.
When they switch bodies, he/she keeps accidentally stumbling into all of her/his
Yeah.
murders, and then like covering up her own like prints and stuff, and like it works really well. But then they kind of pull away from it near the end. I'm like, they should have just kept going with it. But I guess the cops never really thought of it. But it was really funny. Like she'd stumble into the murders all the time, and I liked it.
It was for me. It was like 4 out of 5.
Oh, it was so much fun.
We rented it for $20 and did not make it through COVID, and it did not disappoint.
no,
We
I had
loved
a
it.
blast with it.
Yeah.
I'd have paid $20 for it.
So I rented a movie that was $6, written by Jake Johnson. For those that don't know, that's Nick from New Girl.
Oh, I want to watch that.
Ride the Eagle. It's him. It's Susan Sarandon via VHS tapes. It's I can't think of her name. I can't off the top of my head, but she's underratedly hot. If you actually look her up, it's the Janet from Good Place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's also got J.K. Simmons in it, and it's pretty much for the majority of the movie, it's just Jake Johnson. Now, the director of it directed a metric shit ton of episodes of New Girl and Good Place, all of those. So they've got a long history together.
Darcy Carden.
Yeah, Darcy Carden. Look at her images. She's not bad
She's
looking.
very attractive. And it is called The Babysitter, by the way. The
Okay.
Bella Thorne thing on Netflix.
Oh, that okay. Well, so the this movie though, for me, because of the comedy, he's basically Nick from New Girl, but not as dumb. But it hits pretty good. I love movies like this where the guy's got to go discover himself, and it's funny. And his mom, Susan Sarandon, for the she gets a lot of screen time on screen in the movie because she's a VHS tape. And it's a good movie. It maybe it's not a 4, but it might be a 3.5. But it's worth every bit of the $6 it costs to rent it if you ever want to watch it. Not kid safe, not kid friendly because it is very a lot of language and a lot of adult themed stuff, a lot of weed. But you would enjoy it. It's a good. You know what it is? It's a good date night movie. If you stay at home, it's a good Netflix and chill movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, that was my one. One of my.
Is it like is it about a relationship or him like figuring out how to be a better?
No, it's so Susan Sarandon dies. They don't have a. She's his mom. They don't have a great relationship, but she leaves him her cabin, which is amazing. But it's a conditional inheritance that he has to accomplish the series of tasks that she's left for him. One is to no longer be the prey but become a predator, so kill something and eat it with your own hands. One is to hike to her favorite place. One is to break into this house and leave a note, which is funny. The very first thing is to find the one that got away and call her and say you're sorry, and that's where DiCaria comes in. And they actually didn't have a bad breakup. They just had a breakup. And she actually, when he called, her only role is she has conversations with him on the phone. Well,
The first one is great. I saw that in the trailer for it.
Yeah. And so in the trailer, this isn't ruining it. She calls him. His name's Leaf. He goes, hey, whatever Audrey. He goes, hey, Audrey, it's Leaf. And she goes, Leaf? Is that a name? And he's like, yeah, it's me. We dated for like 3 years, and she's like laughing, but she won't tell it. She goes, I don't know. Do me a favor. Let me just write your number down, and if it comes to me, I'll call you back. And he's like, oh, okay. And she goes, oh, buddy, you're still dumb. And he just starts laughing. And that probably one of the best parts of the whole movie is their phone conversations. They attempt phone sex, and he's not good at it, and then it ruins it. But it's he's like, he goes, you never really did phone sex before? And she goes, I've been with a lot of guys since then. He's like, well, that doesn't sound great. But she goes, well, not a lot of guys, but I've learned some things. So, but it's a fun movie. Check it out.
That is fun. I like movies like that. When you started describing it, it reminded me of that before Thomas Middleton was canceled.
Thomas Middleditch?
Middleditch, yeah, you're right. Joshy, did you ever watch that one?
I did not watch Joshy.
It's good. It's got Adam Pally in it. It's got Nick Kroll, Jenny
Kroll.
Slate.
I like Jenny Slate. Also,
Aubrey
underrated
Plaza.
hot.
Yeah,
Aubrey
Plaza.
Plaza is smoking hot. And
Yeah.
she's got some iPhone hacks out there.
Aubrey Plaza or Jenny Slate?
Aubrey Plaza.
Really?
Flicking the bean.
Nah, I can't. I feel too bad.
I know.
Things like
Yeah.
that.
I know.
But anyways, I mean, good
felt
for her.
good after. I felt bad looking for it.
Good, whatever, good for her. But anyways, the whole thing is like these guys go up to a cabin to make their buddy feel better because you think his girlfriend left him at their altar or whatever. And
Yeah.
it gets much darker than that, and you're like, holy shit! It's like it's one of those movies.
It's
You're
got
like,
a good cast. I'd have to check it out.
it's good. It's worth watching, and it's dark, but at the same time, you're like, oh, it's pretty fun.
What are we throwing at Missy from your end?
So we rewatched Palm Springs last night. Aaron had never seen
great
it.
movie.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably one of the better tribute to Groundhog Day movies ever.
Yeah.
Really good movie.
Yeah.
Really good movie.
When you find out he's been in it for a long time
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
first meet him.
Yeah.
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 Had she seen it before?
No, she hadn't.
What'd she think?
She liked it.
Yeah.
The girl in that has a show on HBO Max that I really want to watch. Similar premise. And,
What is it? Or what's a? I don't remember the girl.
Christina Milioti.
Yeah,
She's been in.
she's from How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
She's the mom.
Oh yeah. She is she's the worst payoff in TV history.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all right. I don't know what her movie is though.
It's not a movie. It's a series on HBO Max. HBO Max
I
has
like
all these
her.
weird series.
Made for
Made
Love.
for Love. Okay, I'll give
Yeah.
that a go.
Because there's another one with what's her name from Carla Cugino on HBO Max right now called Jet. That looks pretty badass too. It's a heist show. But anyways, I didn't mean to hijack your. I didn't mean to
It's a good one. That was that movie was I compare movies like that, and I know this will sound silly, to Grosse Point Blank. My freshman year of college, I've told this story early on the podcast. My freshman year of college, we had free movie night with our college IDs. Once you got your college ID, there was like a world was unlocked
Yeah,
for you
yeah,
when you were a
for sure.
freshman. Well, we had free movie nights on Thursday nights. So me and my roommate, Kevin Brown, we went to the movie, and we were like, what are we going to see? And we're like, well, there's nothing up here. And both Kevin and I were big into martial arts at the time. And I said, well, this movie's got John Cusack in it, and I can tell you this. that guy's a good martial artist. He goes, oh, yeah, that's right, because he is. He's a real-life martial artist, and that's why he's played them in a lot of movies.
He looks like he'd be a martial
So we're like, let's go watch it. So we went and watched it, and maybe one of the greatest film experiences because it was free, didn't know what I was getting to, and an amazing movie.
It is very good.
So
Yeah.
Palm Springs is, I can compare all movies like Palm Springs or like this Ride the Eagle to Grosse Point Blank.
Yeah.
No expectations going in, and the payoff was massive.
Yeah. So the other thing we watched was Tenet.
Oh, yeah.
It was good.
You had to watch that.
Did you have to watch the YouTube explainer afterwards?
No.
I
So
did.
But I think we watched it with our kids because our kids like Christopher Nolan movies, and I think having to stop every hour for bathroom breaks and kind of
Helps you
explain
process
it,
a little bit?
yeah, and explain we talk it through a little bit.
I
so.
watched
Yeah.
it while working from home one day, and when I finished, I go, "What in the fuck did I just miss?"
Yeah.
And I had to go to Wikipedia, and when I read the like I said, when I finished the movie, it was a 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
And when I read the Wikipedia, I go, "Oh, it's a 4."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Because when I was watching it at home, I totally missed the rooms that reverse time.
Yeah.
I didn't. They went into it, and it came out, and I was like, oh, something just happened, and I don't
Yeah.
know what's going
Yeah.
on. And I had to look it up later. I was like, I can't stop it because it was one of those days where if I stopped it, I would have to come back tomorrow.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I was like, I'm just going to power through and hope the Wikipedia makes sense out of it.
Yeah, I thought about watching that one while working, but I knew that it was you have to sit there and focus
That's
on
his most heady movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And,
big time.
yeah,
Big time.
I even didn't eat, a lot of times, I'll have 2 beers or whatever, and I'm like, I have watch a movie or whatever. I'm like, I'm not even drinking any beers on this
Instead, he
one.
put on a cup of coffee.
Yeah. They're like,
I told there's
the Charlie Day meme where you
Yeah.
got the lines going everywhere.
I wrote
I got this.
you know,
I got it.
back before podcasting was a thing, I used to write, especially when MySpace had your blog section on MySpace.
We're going to talk about Donnie Darko again.
Oh, is that what I talked about? I don't think you know this story, do you? One time
It's like the 4th time I've heard the story.
one time I locked myself in. I apologize to people that have heard it on the podcast. It was like,
They have.
podcast. It's been a while since I talked about it. He's making that up.
Those people are way falling off.
One time, I had nothing going on a weekend when I lived in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I didn't have a roommate. I had nothing. And I sat down to really try to figure out what happened to Donnie Darko. I'd watched that movie 3 or 4 times in a weekend with 5 pots of coffee and finally wrote what I consider, and this is hyperbole, I know, might be the greatest thesis explaining that movie ever written.
Post it or it doesn't exist.
I was gonna have
Yeah,
to
I
go
need to
find
see it.
I'm gonna have to. I don't even think I could because it was on MySpace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can still get into MySpace.
Or maybe it was on.
server's still
If it's
there.
on my blog page, I don't know how to get into it. But I found my blog. I found my blog,
Yeah.
and
I
I
have
can
a
still
homework
read
assignment
it.
for the next
I'll
week.
try to find it. It was a. But
You can go to archive.org or something and find it.
well, then he came out with that fucking
Southland Tales?
Southland Tales. And I watched it. I watched it and I finished. I said, I will never watch this again because I'm not doing this again to myself.
I don't know if I watched
I didn't
Southland
drink
Tales.
that weekend. I drank 5 pots of coffee and watched that movie 4 times. I was like, I got it. I've got it.
Listen, I watched Donnie Darko once, hated the fuck out of it.
I loved it. That's the only reason I did that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I never watched Southland Tales because I was like, oh, the director of Donnie Darko? Fuck off.
It's got The Rock in it also.
I know, and Sarah Michelle
I don't
Gellar.
even know
And
what
Justin Timberlake.
I don't
Yeah.
even know what The Rock's role in it is.
Yeah.
As a sniper or something, or he's got that.
I don't even remember now.
Yeah, it was very forgettable comparative.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to pay for it.
Yeah, don't watch it.
Sean William Scott.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people in it. Who went last? Did you just
Yeah,
go?
I did.
Go ahead, Bender. Oh no, let me go. Speaking of music shows, I just gave that Mark Ronson show a chance on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Mark Ronson, or how you say it?
Yeah. Ronson.
So, producer, DJ. And the first one is all about autotune. I skipped it. I'll go back and watch it because I like the other one so much. Because they did it on a show on Netflix series also. But then it was a history of sampling and what sampling means to him. And they brought DJ Premier from Gangstar and all that, and produced everything for Bad Boy and all that. And then Paul McCartney's on it, talked about sampling for Strawberry Fields and how they did it.
Yeah.
And how they would, the weird noises on Strawberry Fields was just something that was playing continually as they recorded, and they would just slide in the sound when they wanted it. And they really learned, and that was the Beatles.
Yeah.
It wasn't their producer. It was like they learned. He goes, because when we were brought in, to the first studio was like 1,000 guys in lab coats were setting up everything, and they wouldn't let us touch anything. He goes, but by the time we got to our third or fourth album, it was like, we don't want them here. We want it. And he goes, once we got to like Strawberry Fields and Lucy in the Sky, we really learned to do it. And I didn't realize the Beatles sampled so much.
Yeah.
And then, of course, makes me happy. They get into Paul's Boutique, and 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 one of the things Mark Ronson said, he goes, "Who knew that you could take two different Beatle riffs, combine it with James Brown, and make an amazing song?" He goes, "It doesn't make sense." And when the Beastie Boys, when they said they found out how to loop and what they could do with it, when Adam Yauch figured that out, the Dust Brothers showed them how to do it on a computer easier. And they would and they're like, "Wait, we just mentioned 6 songs to you." He goes, "Yeah, we're done." He goes, "Oh, is that easy?" They're like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, we're going to add about 12 more." And that was Paul's Boutique.
Yeah.
But Ronson's a weird dude, and he almost comes across like he has Asperger's the way he talks, but he knows music and the people. He has fucking Paul McCartney on there.
Yeah.
And for me, he has a living member of the Beastie Boys. He has DJ Premier, who Gangstar was
Jay-Z's guy forever.
Yeah, Mark Ronson or Premier, DJ Premier. Premier was.
Mark Ronson was his producer, I believe.
Well, DJ Premier did all the tracks and stuff. For the Blueprint. And then the Blueprint Volume 2. I don't know if he did the Black. Well, no, the Black album was Rick Rubin, but a lot of Nas, DJ Premier, and DJ Premier was a DJ for Gangstar and did all those. And Gangstar is classic hip hop, but it's worth since you've watched Apple TV.
Yeah,
it's only 3 episodes out. I think watch them. It's worth it. Yeah. What you got?
A couple things on Hoopla right now. I'm listening to this book called Mort by Robert Rapino, and is
that Megan Rapinoe's brother or dad?
I don't think so. I think it's her distant uncle.
Does he take a completely opposite stand that she takes?
Yes.
Okay.
He wrote a book about how ants
to not pay women and enslave black people. He's completely the opposite.
Enslaving is a thing.
Okay.
It is a story about the end of the human race.
Okay.
Brought on by ants who are actually way smarter than we think they are, and there's like one.
Well, have you ever seen the colonies they build?
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's like one giant queen ant who basically turns on the genetic possibilities in all the other animals in the world to become human-esque.
Oh yeah.
So all the cats and animals, and this first book is it's called Mort by a house cat who comes up, becomes self-aware, becomes a leader in the fight to exterminate human beings, and then after they win, it's him figuring out like basically human existence, and it's super fucking interesting. It's
like
super weird.
Less popular version of Animal Farm. You know what I mean?
It's different, but it's really weird. Like the first half of the book is all battles, and then the second half like war stories, and the second half of the book is like detective stuff because obviously the ants are doing some other shit and they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But anyways,
the ants have an ulterior motive.
Yeah, but it's super interesting, and like the whole time they refer to each other as people, and I never read Animal Farm, so I don't know if they do that either. But it was the first time I've ever really thought about like people is not human and as a concept of self-awareness, and I was like, it threw me off. Like the first like 5 times, I was like, I guess that really doesn't mean human being. It's just self-aware.
Yeah,
it was cool.
I get what you're saying there. By the way, I read Animal Farm once because I had to in school. I know the significance of Animal Farm. I know why it's considered a classic book. Didn't like it.
I thought 1984 was pretty good.
I liked Animal Farm better than 1984.
Did you? Okay, maybe I'll give Animal Farm a chance. Also,
maybe because I read it in 6th or 7th grade when you were supposed to read it.
I think it might be heavy.
It was so definitely junior high when I read it when they made us.
I read it in my 20s, so.
Oh fuck yeah, that was way different.
Also, Battle Chaser is on Hoopla.
Oh, that's that's good.
It's
going to disappoint you greatly because
that's fine. I started it. It's 300 pages, but I just finished.
So it's not 300 pages. It's about 170 pages and about 120 pages of character design and backstory.
Alternate covers.
Extra alternate covers, yeah.
Yeah, usually it's like 60 pages
but
of that.
Because I love Joe Mad so much, it's all worth it.
It's on there. I'm reading it, but I just
super fun, especially those first 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Oh, it's the The idea is great. The art is
It's what you want out of a fantasy book.
Yeah.
is very fantasy-esque and
High adventure fantasy. That's what it was.
I mean, steampunk monster. I mean, machine robot things are badass.
And I mean, and he was just coming off of being the most massive X-Men artist of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, not of all time, because that's Jim Lee.
Yeah.
And Silvestri has a little bit of that, too. But certainly he was the next coming in popularity of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing I read was Darth Vader, Target Vader. Star Wars Target Vader. Did you
Okay.
read that one?
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
I still need to catch up on those.
This is like a standalone. I guess it falls in the line of somewhere, but basically the bottom line is there's a Darth Vader is hunting down a group of arms dealers, but these arms dealers hire a bunch of bounty hunters to kill Darth Vader, and one of them, Vance, is a ex-Imperial soldier who basically looks like a Terminator.
Okay.
It's pretty solid story. Everybody's got a good backstory.
And you've enjoyed all those Marvel things.
Oh, everything that
the
Marvel's done
Star
so
Wars.
far with all that stuff has been a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
So that Valance character was actually in the 70s Marvel series.
Okay.
Oh,
brought him
it was
back.
in the original Marvel
Yeah.
series. Okay.
He's basically a angrier Han Solo.
Well, it's funny because they made a whole origin story, and there was a Han Solo origin comic where he was in it, and they were in the same platoon together, set in Solo where the movie jumps.
Okay.
They did the comic
I think I
book
read
of
that
that.
one.
Yeah,
I'll
they did
read
the
that
comic of where he was the Imperial cadet,
Okay.
and that's where he
That's
meets
in the
Valance.
original Marvel series.
No,
oh,
this
this
is-
one. This
yeah,
one.
It's a
Okay.
new one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's-
after Solo came out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's pretty good. And they give all of the other bounty hunters in it like a story for why the Empire fucked them over. It's basically a Disney Plus TV show in 6 issues. It's spectacular.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
definitely worth a read.
What you got?
I just completed Y the Last Man for the first time.
Oh, man.
I read like the
Very-
first 45, 50 issues back when it came out. And
Oh,
then,
so you missed the. I mean, great finale.
Oh,
yeah,
it's very
I
good.
loved it. I
That's
can't wait
just
for that
in time
show.
for the series is coming out on Hulu or HBO Max or something.
I think it's
next year.
FX.
Is
I think
it
it's
FX?
FX,
Oh,
yeah.
you're right. It is FX. Next
Yeah,
year.
It's FX.
Great.
I think
Amazon-
it's this year. I think it's like September.
Oh wow.
Amazon
Yeah.
Prime, September, Lord of the Rings next year. September
2022,
22.
yeah.
September also is Wu-Tang season 2.
Yeah, I don't-
can't wait for that.
I didn't watch the first one.
The first one was good.
I watched the documentary.
Yeah.
I didn't watch. Oh wait, maybe we did watch the movie. I don't know. I don't think I watched the series, but
didn't.
the documentary was awesome.
Yeah, the
What'd you
show
think
was
of
pretty
Wild
good.
Last Man?
Oh, I loved it. I'm curious to see what they do with the TV show because I know it's not going to be completely faithful. But
Yeah.
if they go the route of Sweet Tooth, I think it'll be pretty good.
What sucks about
It'll be dark because it's
Yeah.
on FX.
What
Yeah.
sucks about the way you just brought this to us, and I'm not going to blame you for it, but the Why the Last Man, on one hand was good, but it had a finite ending, and on the other hand, Wu-Tang is forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really not comparable.
No.
No.
The yin to the yang.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. That makes sense now.
The government owns that album that nobody can listen
Now
to.
they
for
do
30
now. Yeah.
years or whatever.
No, they sold it.
No, Skrelly gave it to the government. Did they sell it?
They confiscated all of his.
Yeah.
things, and they sold it in an auction again. So it's someone
owns it
owns it.
now?
I don't know, but
Yeah, we don't know yet.
We don't know yet, but I'm hoping they release it.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you can.
They can't. No.
Because he bought it with the agreement to not release it for like 30 years or something.
No,
right?
the only way it could be released is legally any member of Wu-Tang was allowed to break into his house and steal it. And if they stole it, they could release it. That was in the agreement to the sale. Yeah.
That's awesome. And challenge accepted.
And it was going to be the hip-hop version of Ocean's 11 had it
Yeah.
ever been
Yeah.
done, you know?
Somebody cool should buy it. The
Yeah.
Rock should buy it. Let's
And
call him
release
out.
it,
Rock,
yeah.
you should buy it. And then
Take
and
all
then
that money that you're getting fucked out of from Jungle Cruise
Yeah.
and buy the album and release it.
You and Scarlett Johansson and...
See, if ODB wouldn't have died, it probably would have happened already.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he would have stole that
Yeah.
shit.
No, man, you set up a set of elaborate traps and make that a Disney Plus show
The-
to see if they get to it, and then you release the album on Disney's new hip hop
And
studio.
one of the main reasons it would have happened if ODB was alive is because God made dirt, and dirt busts your ass. There's no way around that. I don't know that I have anything else to talk about. Let me think real fast. Let me go through the numbers. No, I don't. I think I'm good. I think we covered almost everything I had to talk about. I mean, I talked about using your Down syndrome brother as a fast pass at a fucking amusement park, and we talked about movies. So you got anything else?
Nope.
What about you?
Nothing.
Well, I can tell you what we don't have. Even though he's back, we don't have a silver badger, so we're just going to leave Jay to lead us with his amazingly deep way of saying goodbye.
Bye.
And Bender.
Hold on to your butts.
And I'll just play the music, and we will see everyone next week. Well, next week we will have Jim Easley. For real, we'll be sitting in. That will be relevant. That's all.